School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, IJ Rosenberg, Georgia High School Sports Daily here on Peachtree Sports Network. We are brought to you by IBEW 613. We want to thank them and Kenny Mullins for supporting the show. We have a couple of other sponsors that we'll mention later. Want to introduce Najeh Wilkins. Hey, Najeh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Your haircut looks good.
You like it?
I like it.
Look all right?
Looks literally good.
I was about to say the same thing.
I trimmed my beard.
Yeah.
Najeh, you might need a little trim. Y'all doing all right? It's
Yes.
looks like it's going to be a wet weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, see who that favors potentially in our matchup. The way Douglas County's been running the ball, though.
Who knows? Or they might try to air it out, too.
Yeah,
All right, we
we'll
got
see.
Craig Sager here with us as well, and expect a good show. A lot of guests today. We're trying to improve every day. You can check out the Georgia High School Sports Daily every weekday from noon until 1, and you can pick it up on Comcast. Peachtree Sports Network can be brought in on Comcast, any cable actually. Spectrum. You can also pick us up on the Atlanta News First app, which is a really good app. It's the old CBS 46 that's been renamed. You can also get us on Zeem, which is the CBS streaming portal, and the National Federation High School Network. So we're going to start off with our fast break headlines, and as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Hurricane Francine is gaining strength and has been labeled a Category 1 storm and is set to hit Georgia. The potential for heavy rain will be forecasted. Well, actually, it's coming in already today and tomorrow, with 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches possible in some areas. There's also going to be a lot of wind. So I'll tell you what, guys, it's going to be interesting tomorrow night. I mean, we deal with this in the summer with the lightning and everything. Of course, we had to deal that Friday night in Rome with everything, the bad storm. But I think it's going to be a late night for Friday. It's probably going to. We could see some delays at our game on Friday night at Douglas County.
Yeah, let's hope not. But yeah, it looks like it's probably gonna be a day where it just like rains the whole time steadily.
As long as it's not lightning,
Yeah.
typically they can get through the games. And but we'll go from there. And it also can impact some softball games as well. Craig, you've got the second headline.
Let's move on to cross country real quick. Valdosta High School wins the second annual Blake Smith Invitational at Coffee County High School. The Wildcats had 4 of the top 5 finishes, including the top 3 for 18 total points. That was Patrick Wallace, Zane Tribble, Brandon Reyes finished 1, 2, and 3. Wallace was an easy winner with a 16:45 time, with Tribble coming in at 17:23 and Reyes at 17:26. A Coffee runner broke the Valdosta string of finishers. Then came David Boatwright at 5th at 17:55. The Lady Wildcats were 5th in the Douglas County meet. Maya Shuckman was their fastest finisher in 26:50, and Caitlin Exel, Benaya Sutton, and Maggie Matheny all broke 30 minutes.
And then at number 3, the 2024 Jared Cook Basketball Classic has been announced. Their 3-day schedule that they are going to have is filled with state champions. I'm really excited for this. So featured teams is going to be Riverwood. They are a 6A champion this past year. They're also going to be as a headliner in our Cork Dave Hunter Basketball Classic coming up. They also have a 7A state champion, Grayson, who's going to play Milton, a really good team as well. And Grayson's going to be one of the favorites in 6A when you look at it. They just got the number 4 player overall in the country that transferred over this past summer, Caleb Holt, according to 247 Sports. So he's going to be one to watch. Another really good match is going to be Newton versus Woodward Academy. Both teams are very talented, and Woodward Academy is led by Zach Foster, who had a dominant AAU circuit this past summer, one of the better players in the 2025 class in the state. And then Sechinger is coming off in a very impressive second-year campaign. They went 23-8. And they made it to quarterfinals before losing to Benedictine. So some really good teams in there. Can't wait to see how that kind of comes out. But Grayson, obviously Milton, Sechinger are some of the headliners.
We talked about it yesterday real quick, that first matchup between Decatur and Osborne. That's Hughes' former head coach Rory Welch went over to Decatur. So that's pretty much going to be one of the first big tests of the season.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we've got our Corky Kell, of course, basketball classic about a month later than that. We'll have some of the same teams. But, it's, again, we don't talk about it a lot during football season, guys. But the number of basketball players, both boys and girls, that are coming out of this state, all right, that are going to major colleges. Well, they go to all the colleges, but I'm talking about some of the top players. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was an incredible season last year, especially teams like North Oconee winning the state title for the first time. We saw a lot of new programs really start to build up.
Well, we do that Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and in the back of my mind, I like doing new stuff. But I've had more calls about high school basketball. I mean, it's amazing to see. A lot of people don't even realize. I remember seeing Dwight Howard, play at a Class A school. Okay,
That's
now
right.
think about that. One of the best centers of his years playing at an A. It was like Herschel Walker playing football. All right, Johnson County at A. I mean, same thing.
I saw Josh Smith play for McEachern before he transferred out of the state.
Yeah, and
McEachern at Walton. Josh Smith was throwing it down.
And we're going to have a lot of fun on this show, by the way, with basketball. Najee, I think, actually, Craig, you got the next headline?
Oh, we're at number 4. Oh, yeah, Pope celebrates their 2014 state championship softball team on Saturday with a big win over North Gwinnett. They're on a very hot streak. They've won 6 in a row now. Last season, Pope finished 32-8. They won 16 of their last 18 games, outscoring opponents. Sorry, that was in 2014, 17-2. So what I find interesting about this, they're celebrating their state championship. They've come really close 3 times since, but they haven't won a state title since. I have a feeling, though, just having them back together,
And
getting
so
the champions
is that at the Pope softball game on Saturday? Is that what they're
No,
doing?
they
Or
already
just-
celebrated it,
okay.
but that was the 10th anniversary. But this is a team that's really high in the rankings, and they're trying to get that title since that 2014 one.
Yeah, I'll tell you, people have a lot of fun coming back to those type events. I remember Lakeside, we do the Hall of Fame over there. We had the 1970 state championship team come back, all right, last year in 23, which was that's 53 years?
Yeah.
We had 45 guys.
That's
Can you
incredible.
believe that? I mean, it's amazing the way those teams stay together. Najee, you got a last
Certainly.
headline?
And then at number 5 is going to be Miller Grove's Maya Morrison. She's really been doing her thing. She continues to climb up the DeKalb County record book. She had an 8 strikeout performance in a 3-inning 18-0 win over the Columbia Eagles at Miller Grove. Morris played a part in all 9 outs with an assist on a ground out against Columbia's first batter of the game, then 8 strikeouts and facing 10 batters. An error allowed 1 Columbia base runner in the game. Her 8 strikeouts pushed her to a career strikeout mark to 435 and 108 on the season, and leading Miller Grove to a 9-2 record in the top Region 6-2A standings, and they are 6-0. Lastly, she passed Jaden Powell of Stevenson with 432 with her 8 strikeouts against Columbia and moved in within 3 wins of the Miller Grove record as she notched her 39th overall.
And remember, our staff here, at the Georgia High School Sports Daily is working hard on all sports, We've got Hayden, we've got Max. I mean, we've got a lot of people helping out during the day. So if you've got a good story, let us know.
Yes.
Go to scoreatl.com. Email me, ijrosenberg@scoreatl.com. We want to talk about them. We want you to come into the studio and make your commitments.
Yep.
We want volleyball commitments.
I've been talking to some
whole family.
ADs as well
Yeah.
over there at Fellowship Christian. So I said, hey, go ahead if you guys want to come.
We'll do
come
it
here,
live.
We'll do it. Yep.
We'll
Told
do
them
it-
that exactly.
We'll do it live. All right, now let's go to the Georgia High School Football Daily. Of course, that comes out every morning. More than 24,000 subscribers. Their open rate, guys, is incredible. About 70% of those subscribers every day open that
unheard of.
email. I mean, you just don't see that. And of course, on Thursday, they love to preview their top games. And of course, their top game, at least number 1, was our TV game Friday night. And that's Buford. And we're going to talk more about this. That's Buford at Douglas County. And I think I think we've got the Douglas County coach coming on tomorrow.
Correct, we do.
Great. So we'll look forward to that. We'll talk to him about that. But, there's just a lot of really, really good games. Savannah Christian is coming to the metro area to play Fellowship Christian. Of course, Savannah Christian has the top player in the state. Guys, I mean, where does that game go? I mean, who wins that game?
I'm going with Savannah Christian. For me, this is a dominant defensive front, and they have the number 1 player, LaDamian Guy, in the 27 class. You got 2 number 1 players potentially on your defense.
Yeah, don't leave out Fellowship. Fellowship's done a good job, Craig.
I
haven't they?
agree, and I think if you're a fan of the trenches, seeing Josh Petty potentially going up against Elijah, that is the premier matchup in the trenches this week. And it's also cool because Savannah Christian's making pretty much the same trip back-to-back weeks. They'll be at Blessed Trinity right down the road the next week.
Yeah, it's exciting. They also did the top 10 teams, fewest points allowed per game in 6A. This is interesting. I would have never guessed this. Campbell's number 1.
Yep.
4.7. They got a pretty good team, Craig, don't they?
Coach Jeff Phillips is doing an unbelievable job, and he came over from North Springs. And he's been there a couple years now, but Campbell, they have a big region opener against McEachern. That will be a big test for them, but you can't count them out.
All right, our Georgia High School Hall of Fame spotlight in the review was Edgar Chandler. He was a really, really good football player, played at Georgia and played under Vince Dooley. And then actually I think played in the NFL as well. But every day up until our ceremony, the Georgia High School Football Daily is doing a bio and all 30 players that are going in. So, that's pretty exciting. All right, real quickly, we want to go to their daily. This is the daily player of the week. It was Skylar Williams from Warner Robins. Had a great game, 5 touchdowns. The quarterback rushed and threw for over 305 yards. Here he is with Ted Langford. They do a great job of going to the schools and giving out the Player of the Week award, and really impressive with what they're doing right there. So I want to congratulate Skylar Williams from Warner Robins High School, and of course they almost scored 100 points in that game. All right, real quickly, daily trivia. Yesterday we talked about the jersey. What was the best-selling jersey of a Georgia player? Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins, and boy, has he been in the news lately.
Yeah, yes he has.
Craig, you picked that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, if y'all haven't seen his video on his house in Miami where he takes you through his house, it's amazing. All right, today's question, fastest growing nickname in the GHSA is shared by Blessed Trinity, Discovery, Drew, Lake Oconee Academy, North Oconee, Northview, Towers, and Turner County. What is that nickname?
That would be the Titans.
That would be the Titans. That's a pretty easy one. So anyway, all right, listen, we've got a lot of, we got the Georgia County, Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department. We've got two officers coming in. We'll talk, and we'll be right back.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today. The Georgia Sheet Metal JETC equips apprentices with the knowledge and skills required to start a rewarding career in the sheet metal industry with programs in HVAC, industrial welding, and testing, adjusting, and balancing. Training is 100% free and allows apprentices to learn as they learn. Journeymen graduate with no student fee and have the potential to earn more than most college graduates. Visit our website to learn more about this opportunity at careers@sheetmetal.com.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Feeling is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. SportsFair is committed to bringing your team innovative sports services with unparalleled performance. You bring a vision. Our team brings it to life. Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, we're back on the Georgia High School Sports Daily every day, Monday through Friday from 12 to 1. We're sponsored, or title sponsored by IBEW Chapter 613. Want to welcome in 2 officers, 2 captains from the Gwinnett County, corporal. Sorry about that. From the, I know you want to be captains, right?
Thank you for the promotion.
You're welcome. Well, for the next few minutes, you're captain. Anyway, from the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, they've been a big supporter of us. We had the Sheriff's Cup earlier this year. They were a supporter of us at the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. To my left, we have Corporal Carlton Relaford, and to his left, we got Corporal Pierre Simon. First thing I need to ask you guys is, and I know people that are watching want to hear what y'all have to say. And of course, that was what happened last week at Appalachia, the school shootings and everything. And I know, and I'm gonna let you explain what the Sheriff's Department is and how that is different from the actually county police. But when you two that are every day protecting, your area, protecting Gwinnett County, how does something like that last week hit both of you personally?
Any tragedy that happens in our county, it affects us personally, especially for somebody that lives inside of Gwinnett County. And our prayers always go out to, of course, the officers that responded and all the families that are affected. We want people to know that we're people just like you. It affects us the same way, and our prayers always go out to them.
And y'all, Gwinnett was right on the edge of that. They're the next county up north there. So I know that some Gwinnett officers responded to that. Do me a favor, because I found this out a couple years ago, which is really interesting. Explain what the Sheriff's Department is and the difference between the regular police force in Gwinnett County.
Okay, so especially here in Georgia, you have full service sheriff's offices, and then you have what we have in Gwinnett County, where we offer services for the Gwinnett County court system, serving warrants, civil papers, and the main thing, which is our main constitutional duty, is to provide care, custody, and control for the individuals in the Gwinnett County Jail. OCGA Title 15, Chapter 16, it outlines all the specific duties that the sheriff has constitutionally. But for the main focus, for the everyday layperson for Gwinnett County, our sheriff, Sheriff Kebo Taylor, his main responsibility is warrants, civil papers, TPOs, family violence issues, as well as the Gwinnett County Jail and the Gwinnett County court system, because we have what we call GJAC, Gwinnett Justice and Administration Center in Lawrenceville. Then we have the Charlotte Nash building as well as the court annex system. And we're responsible for the care, custody, and control and the security for all persons that frequent those buildings.
Corporal Simon, talk about your background a little bit. Where are you coming from? Are you from Atlanta? Or?
Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Moved down to Atlanta in 2016. Was working in retail. Got laid off. Was looking for a job, so I decided to come over and join the sheriff's office.
So tell me how that worked. How did the training work for you to get into it?
Into the sheriff's office?
Yeah.
So I started off as a jailer, so working in the jail. So while working in the jail, I was able to learn on how to supervise the in custody arrestees in there. And then from there, I was able to go to the academy. Once I went to the academy, that's when my career started. I was able to start moving around the agency.
And Corporal Alpha, tell me a little bit about your background.
I started when I was 21 years old. Shout out to all the HBCU grads. I went to Fort Valley State University. I graduated December of 2011, January.
Big enough to play Lions. Fort Valley's got some good football teams.
Yes, sir. And then January of 2012, I started with the Sheriff's Office. And I've worked with the Sheriff's Office and the Police Department since 2022.
And talk about how, you talked about being a jailer, okay? And I know that that's something that y'all are looking for. Y'all have got the word out there. Y'all are doing a tremendous amount of messaging about getting more jailers. So talk two things. Tell me, number one, how that works for somebody that, is coming off, I don't say off the street, but somebody that's interested in becoming a jailer. So tell us how they actually go about applying, but also talk to us about the training for something like that.
Okay. Well, right now, We have where 18-year-olds can now become jailers.
Right.
Law enforcement, we're usually on the back end. So what Sheriff Taylor is doing, he's actually being proactive, and we're adapting with the times. And I think all law enforcement agencies across the nation, we have to adapt with the times. So now we 18-year-olds can now be hired as jailers. So one of the things that Sheriff Taylor did, he presented and got approved the Jailer Officer Series. So now you have two different career paths. You have your jailer career path where you start off as a jailer, and then you can matriculate all the way up to the rank of lieutenant and be in the jail your entire career. And of course, we have the deputy sheriff senior path, which starts you off as a deputy sheriff, and you can go all the way up to lieutenant on the merited side. And then once you become appointed, you go from major, assistant chief, chief, and then of course the sheriff if you want to run for that office.
And we have a lot of young people watching, and one of our other partners is the National Guard, and I think there's some similarities. There's some kids that college isn't really for them, or they just might decide that they want to become, they want to work with you guys, or they want to become in the National Guard and stuff like that. What type of kid do y'all look for?
So we're looking for individuals that want to become a star, right? They're looking to start a career long term. We starting them off with a great salary right out of high school, making $48,172. They're getting a sign-on bonus, and if they stay with us for 2 years, we also do tuition reimbursement for them. So we look for individuals that they want long term. They want this career, and not just a job; it's a lifestyle. They really want it to be the career for them.
So what are the hours like for a jailer? How does that sort of work?
So as of now, a jailer will work. We have a day watch, which is 7:30 to 4 p.m. And then we have our evening watch, which is 3:30 to 12 midnight, and then from 11:30 to 8 in the morning. So it's 3 shifts. And then if they work on evening watch or morning watch, the overnight, they'll receive a 5% incentive.
I'm interested in what y'all think about this. There are a lot of school systems that are cracking down on their games. What I mean by that is they're not allowing kids from other schools to come to their games. They're being very careful. I mean, when you walk into, let's use Grayson as an example. I know a couple years ago there were some issues with the students, and they just decided, you know what, for the rest of the season, students weren't coming. But now what I notice at Grayson and a lot of the other Gwinnett schools is, there's one entrance for the Grayson kids, and if they're playing Norcross, there's another one. They keep them apart. You're seeing a lot more security at these schools, which, obviously is important.
Right, absolutely. We also want to make sure that we always maintain a good partnership with our schools. The Gwinnett County School Police, they're an outstanding agency, and they're a great partner with us. And Sheriff Taylor has made it very clear that the Sheriff's Office, we will assist our law enforcement partners, whether it's just the Gwinnett County Police Department, Gwinnett County Schools, wherever the case may be. So.
Well, the schools have resource officers too, right?
Absolutely.
Are those those resource, are they armed?
Yes.
The resource officers?
Yes, they have their own police department. So the Gwinnett County school system, they have their own police department. Yes, sir.
Well, Corporal Relaford and Corporate Simon, I just want to thank you for your support. We love having the Sheriff's Cup. You got a great sheriff. He's got a great personality. But I want to thank you both for driving over here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you're watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily. We'll have both Craig and Najeh back for the next segment. We've got our interview with the North Oconee head coach, hottest team in the state.
Hey, IJ, how you doing? Aren't like we aren't going to do this.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, IJ Rosenberg here on the Georgia High School Sports Daily, brought to you by IBEW 613. We've got Craig Sager and Najeh Wilkins in here. We've got an interview right now with the North Oconee coach, Tyler Aurandt. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
Well, Coach, I was up there like, 4 or 5 months ago. I told you it was a good call trying to get you guys in Corky this year. Hopefully, in the next time we go around, we can get you guys because we'd be real excited. I heard that game was well attended and was a really good football game. First of all, I want to congratulate you on the season. Y'all have really started well. We've got a big fan in Craig Sager over here. He's got you very highly rated. But Coach, was this expected, this type of start?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the standard that we're working with right now. But we have a lot of new faces out there. We lost several guys off of last year's team that were major players in our offense and defense. I think we're returning 5 starters on both sides of the ball. So, I wouldn't say we're young. I'd say we're green, where we got a lot of guys that have been backups for a year or two that are now getting their opportunity to start. So there were a lot of question marks. I've been pleased with those guys that have stepped into those roles and the way they've played. But, we're still growing and developing this team. And tomorrow night's going to be a great test for us.
Yeah, y'all play Jefferson tomorrow night, and y'all got Jefferson up there. Talk about y'all's home field advantage, because you've definitely got one up there. I mean, that town closes down when you guys are on the field Friday night.
Yeah, no, I can't speak highly enough about our community and the support that we receive from them week in and week out. It's youth night, so it's going to be heavily attended. Hopefully we can get this rain to hold off a little bit where we can get a lot of people out there. But it ought to be a great night for Titan football. But the atmosphere in our stadium, has just grown and grown and grown over the last few years. I think partly because of the success, but I think a large part of that is the success that you see in Athens week in and week out, and people are just excited about football, and they want to be around the game. I think it's we've created a great atmosphere for our kids to compete in, and now we get an opportunity to go compete against a very highly quality opponent.
Coach Aurandt, can you talk a little bit about this high-powered offensive attack that's averaging 33 points a game, led by Harrison Faulkner? What have you seen from this side of the ball, and how well they've been playing to start the season?
Yeah, I think we started off kind of rough, and I think that was a tribute to just some new faces out there. We did not play very well early on in the Oconee game, and as the game went on, we started to grow into a little bit of a comfort zone where we felt more confident. But I think the biggest thing is we had an opportunity the last two games to create a lot of explosive plays and get the ball in some playmakers' hands, and then let them just go play football. Harrison's got a great supporting cast around him with Kamari Brooks and Landon Roldan and a couple other young guys that are starting to, make a name for themselves. We've been pleased with, what we've been able to do. Like I said earlier, we got a lot of work to do on that side of the ball, and just in terms of gelling and coming together and, being more comfortable with one another. As you're talking about, I think it's 9 out of 11 are new faces on that side of the ball. And you got a great quarterback to build things around. So it's just everybody getting comfortable with one another and starting to learn how to play together.
Coach Aurandt, in terms of the defense, something that I've always talked about North Oconee being really successful at is the secondary. You guys have had some big bodies back there, super physical with Jack Fabris in recent seasons. Where do you see this year's secondary at this point in the season?
Yeah, that's a group that's all new faces. All four of those guys are new in terms of their role. Jack's little brother, Michael Fabris, who plays corner, has done a great job the first few ball games. Landon Roldan, who is an offensive threat for us, is starting at the other corner. And both of those guys have played really, really well. And then you got a couple new faces in at the safety position. And those guys have come in and played well and do, what we asked them to do on defense. And it's a style of play that we harp on so much. And, we want to be focused and locked into your job, but we want to play physical and we want to play with great effort. And right now I feel like we've got a good group over there that's trying to emulate those things, which is giving them an opportunity to be successful each week.
Speaking of, Coach, I want to ask you about this matchup, big one on Friday night. A lot of eyes are going to be on it. It's one of our top 30 games as well. Obviously, you guys played Jefferson. So can you talk a little bit about that matchup, Coach? What stands out? I know they have Grant Hemphill, who had a big game this past Friday night, and obviously Grant Market, the quarterback. But what stands out about this matchup? What does your team need to do to come out with a win?
Yeah, anytime you play Coach Noland, you're in for a physical battle. We have a lot of experience playing against him and just the culture that he builds. I know it's a new team, but you can see a lot of the same attributes and things within the culture showing up with him at Jefferson. Another kid is number 15, the Butler kid who plays defensive end for them. He's a phenomenal player, very active, very explosive at the line of scrimmage. And then the quarterback is a big kid. He's going to be hard to get on the ground. He throws the ball really well. And he makes a lot of good decisions. He doesn't really put them in trouble get them in trouble a whole lot. So I think you're just going to have to play clean football because that's what you're going to get from them. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. We're going to have to make sure that we don't beat ourselves. We go out there and take care of the football and we tackle really well. You're talking about a game that is going to have wet weather involved. And those are things that usually show up when you're talking about playing in some rain or some inclement weather.
All right, we're talking to North Oconee coach Tyler Aurandt. Coach, this is your last non-region game, correct? And then y'all are Region 8 4A. I want to look at the rankings real quickly here because we're big fans of you at Score Atlanta. We got you number 1 at 4A, so I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But also point out that nobody else has you above 5. So remember that when I come talk to you about the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic next time. All right, but we got you on top. How do you feel about that?
What does Coach Saban say? It's rat poison?
Yeah.
For everybody else that's watching the show? No, I mean, there's some quality teams in our region. Eastside is having a great year. East Forsyth is having a great year. And you're talking about physical football teams that try to run the ball downhill. They both play good defense. And there's other teams. Walnut Grove started the year off really well. Madison County started the year off really well. So it's 1 week at a time, making sure that we manage what we can control. And get our guys as prepared as possible for each week. We're going through a 6-game stretch right now, so that's going to be taxing on our kids. But, it's going to be a great opportunity for our kids to go out and showcase and perform in front of a lot of people against quality opponents.
And, Coach, I do, before we let you go, want to ask you about what happened last week at Appalachia, because I know that school's not too far from you guys. And, I imagine you have friends and people over there that you know.
Yeah, it puts a lot into perspective. You're talking to your kids, and there's a whole group of kids that's out there that's mourning and grieving, and they're not getting to play football right now because of that tragedy. And then you're getting to go out there every day and play a game that you love. It definitely puts life into perspective. I knew Coach A. We went to college together, and through the coaching circles, we're around each other a lot. You just hurt and you just feel terrible for what that community is going through, something completely out of their control. And you just find ways to serve now. What can we do to help, and help their players, help their community, because our counties do border each other. So our kids know a lot of their kids. Our coaches know a lot of their coaches. We have a coach on staff that was in that school at one point. We're really close to them, and we certainly are looking for ways to go and help and serve, and just emotionally, support them. But it is a tragedy, and we hate it for them, but it certainly does put life in perspective of what is important right now.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. I know they appreciate your kind words to them. Want to wish you the best Friday night against Jefferson, and of course next week when you start region play. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, we are going to be back. We've got the actual rankings composite coming up. We'll talk a little bit about them, and just a lot to do. We'll see you in a second.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? People have your back in the heat of the battle. Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org. This lease.
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training. GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training and our certified apprenticeship program to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
A journeyman with a low weight 5, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
All right, Georgia High School Sports Daily. Today's Thursday. Got big games coming up tomorrow night. Najeh Wilkins Craig Sager, Score Atlanta. We are here in our new studios, brand spanking new studios up in North Atlanta, up in Roswell, right off of exit 7, 400. And don't forget, you got a story, give us a call, get in touch. Want to commit on air? Bring your whole family. Bring grandma, bring granddad. We'll put them right here next to Najeh. You can do the hat thing, whatever you want to do. We'll explode something. But we're going to talk about the composite rankings right now. The Georgia High School Football Daily, which, of course, the morning newsletter, they handle these. They put everything together. Of course, we are one of the services that does it. I'll start off with Class 6A. Right now, Carrollton is overall right now the number one team in the state. There's only one other service that has them at number 5, which is a little surprising. But we got Carrollton, Beaufort, Douglas County, North Gwinnett, Collins Hill, Camden Hill, Mill Creek, Grayson, Valdosta, North Cobb. They round out our top 10. Then also Colquitt has got some votes, as well as Norcross.
Real quick, Najeh, I want to ask Craig Case Point. What do you think about Beaufort being ahead of Douglas County on the composite? That's got a little question mark for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you had the close win against Benedictine. The Roswell win looks really good, but yeah, the loss to Milton, I think it's tough. I think they're a top 5 team, but Douglas County, the way they've been dominating, the Newton win, put them slightly ahead of it. I agree, though, with Carrollton, number 1. You can't really argue that.
I mean, I'll tell you what, guys, right now. We've watched Douglas County. We had them in Corky Kell. There's no team in the state that has that much talent. I'm not saying they're going to win it. Last year was a good example. Okay, they should have won it, and they ended up getting upset by Woodward Academy in a really good football game. And we'll see what they've learned from that. But I don't think, even Milton, I just don't know that there's a team in the state that has more talent, raw talent, than Douglas County.
They are so good. And just even in that Cedar Grove game, the contested catches their receivers were making, just very difficult. I think their quarterback, Bordeaux, he showed his legs. He's a dual threat. I really like them, but Carrollton is going to get the consensus this week. And obviously the big matchup that's going to impact the rankings is ours, Douglas County and Beaufort.
All right, let's go to Class 5A. We've got Milton on top. They're number 1 with everybody. And for the most part, Gainesville's behind them. You got Gainesville, then Thomas County Central, Coffee, Lee County, Hughes, Roswell, Houston County, Sequoia, and Rome still hanging in there. You've also got some other teams that have some votes. East Paulding, Woodward Academy, Seconder, Brunswick, and Northside, Warner Robins. But I think of any classification, if there's one team that really stands out over everybody else, it might be Milton.
For sure, but so many games this week are going to impact these rankings. You got Lee County playing Colquitt. You got Gainesville playing Carrollton. Even the Roswell game, that's going to be a test against Westlake. So watch for 5A. We could see some shifts, but you still got to think Milton's going to stay on top. They will play BT, though, this week.
Well, and I'm still waiting for – I'm a big fan of Dean Fabrizio, the coach at Lee County. I'm still waiting for them to see if they can win a state championship. All right, let's go down to 4A. Marist is on top. A couple services have them number 2. Everybody else, in fact, Score Atlanta has them number 2. Let's see, we've got North Oconee. We had talked about that before, number 1. Cartersville 2, Benedictine, BT, Warner Robins, Perry, North Oconee, Ware County, Eastside, and Stars Mill also getting votes. Creekside, don't forget about them. I know their record's not great because they've played some really good football teams out of state. But they're still getting some votes. Central Carrollton, Cedartown, Harris County, Cass, and Cambridge.
Real quick, the game to watch in this 4A is going to be Blessed Trinity versus Milton. Those two are going to face off. Both are undefeated, and BT has a very treacherous schedule kind of coming up for them. They have Savannah Christian coming up as well. That's going to be our TV game here in a few weeks. And they have Hebron Christian as well. So going to learn a lot about Blessed Trinity here pretty soon.
And then I'm interested also, you saw Cambridge at number 16. They're getting a couple votes. They play Calhoun this week. I think another big win. They could find themselves in the poll very soon.
Well, and let's go down to 3A because we were just talking about North Oconee. Of course, they played Jefferson. Right now, 3A, the consensus is Sandy Creek. Then following them are Jefferson, Peach County, Monroe area, Mary Person, Cedar Grove, Calhoun, LaGrange, Douglas, and Cherokee Bluff, which is 4-0. And then also getting some votes were Northwest Whitfield, Upson Lee, Stevenson, West over Long County, Cairo, and Troop.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. Like I said, Jefferson will play North Oconee, so that'll be a
Who
good
wins
one.
that game?
I'm going North Oconee. I think I like their offense. Kamari Brooks, who is really good. Rodon had 5 touchdowns in their win recently. I think North Oconee is going to win that one.
Craig, you have anything on 3A?
I'm going with North Oconee too. I think it is a tough matchup. Jefferson with Gavin back at quarterback is a very good team. But I think the thing that stands out about 3A, it was very hard to pick the initial number one. Sandy Creek, I think, is playing well, but it's a very top-heavy poll. And
Yes,
then you have teams like Upson Lee that are sort of shaking things up at the bottom.
All right, let's go to Class 2A, Pierce County. Speaking of Pierce County, hold on for the next segment because we'll have their head coach on for an interview. But they are the consensus number one pick. Morgan County's behind them. Stevens County, Appling County, Carver, Columbus, Burke County, Callaway, Sumter County, Rockmart, and Cook. And then Hateville Charter has got a couple of votes as well as Ringgold.
Yep, Callaway had the big win over Cook last week. And I think what's interesting, Pierce County, you see them at 1. You see Appling County at number 5. That was Pierce County's only loss of the season last year, and they will be playing each other in their season finale in region play this year.
All right, let's go down to Class A Division I. Of course, Toombs County, number 1. They get the big win last Friday night in Rome. Thomasville's number 2. Dublin, Fitzgerald, Fannin County, Lamar County, Rabun County, Dodge, Jefferson Davis, and Northeast. And then quite a few other teams got votes. Bleckley County, Bremen, Swainsboro, Worth County, Coosa, and Model.
Real quick, Rabun County is going to play Fannin County this week, and then Fitzgerald's going to face off against Brooks County. So some big-time matchups coming up in this classification, so can't wait to see the results. Definitely going to be a big shakeup in the rankings.
All right, let's go down to Class A Division II. Irwin County is on top, but not a consensus pick up there. Both them and Bowden.
Bowden.
How many? We're gonna have to write that right there. Bowden. Brooks County. They also have a couple of number 1 votes, including Score Atlanta. Brooks County's 3rd, Manchester Clinch, Treon, Seminole County, Greene County, Lincoln County, and Metter. And then, of course, got Manual County Institute, Charlton, Mitchell, Early, and Shiley. Quickly, guys.
Yeah, Greene County dropped pretty significantly, but it was a tough loss to Morgan County. I'd say watch out for them. I think they're still a top 5 potential.
All right, let's go to Class 3A through A private. Savannah Christian, I think by far the best team there. You got Hebron, number 2, Prince Avenue, good team. Fellowship Christian, big game this week. Calvary Day Leavitt, Wesleyan, North Cobb, Aquinas, and then Whitfield Academy, Holy Innocents, and Trinity getting some
Real
votes.
quick, don't sleep on Lovett. Lovett picked up a huge win against Pace Academy this past weekend. Don't lose too much hope out on Prince Avenue Christian because they have a really good team. They're figuring it out. So many young players. Andrew Beard, sophomore. Ben Muser, sophomore. Hudson Hill, sophomore. Really young team.
All right, coming up, we've got our huge South Georgia spotlight. Like I said, we'll have Pierce County, who they're number 1 in their classification. So we'll talk to Ryan Heron right after these messages.
Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello.
All right, welcome back to our final segment this Thursday on the Georgia High School Sports Daily, brought to you by IBEW 613. Want to bring in Pierce County coach Ryan Herring. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
We've got, and everybody has you on top of 2A. Of course, you won the state championship last year. Before we get into your football team, all right, tell us a little bit about Blackshear. I know y'all are close to Waycross, right? And this, of course, is our South Georgia Spotlight, which we do every Thursday. But tell us a little bit, tell everybody about Blackshear.
Well, I mean, it's about 8 miles from Waycross. It's just a small community, great people, great support. Our home side will be totally packed every home game. Not a lot of population down here, but not a lot of quantity, but a lot of quality. Just good people, real conservative type people. People care about their kids. They care about the school. So it's just a great place to live. I mean, I can't think of a better place to raise a family than Blackshear, Georgia.
I imagine on Friday nights, like Friday Night Lights, the movie, everything closes up in Blackshear around about 5 o'clock, and they head down to the football game.
Yeah. Here, if you don't eat dinner by 8 o'clock, you'll have to eat at home. I mean, there's it's not like we have an interstate going through here or anything. I mean, you better, unless you want gas station food, you better eat by 8 o'clock every night. But it's just the town comes out for the games. There's nothing else going on in the town. It's not like being in Metro Atlanta. I mean, there's nothing but high school football on Friday nights.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the team this year. Your defense has been doing their thing, right? They are only allowing 14 points in 3 games. Can you talk a little bit just about them and just how good you guys been on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, we've got a lot of perimeter players back. Our back-end guys are back. We've got some that are banged up and hurt right now, but we've got those guys back. That always helps. We've got a solid group of linebackers. We had to replace our D-line. So it's been a little bit of a rebuild, retool at D-line, but I think we're coming on. But right now, I think the kids are all just buying into doing their job, knowing what to do, how to do it. So right now, I think we're playing. We're playing solid on defense. We still got a long ways to go, but we're playing solid enough right now. We'll be challenged Friday night. We'll find out kind of where we are Friday night.
For sure. Coach Herring, let's talk about that matchup against New Hampstead. You guys have played before. I think it was 2019. It was a back-and-forth game. You guys did win that one. What challenges do you see, though, with New Hampstead, a team that is very competitive in a higher classification, a lot of size, athleticism? Just how do you think you guys will stack up against them? What's the challenge?
Well, the first thing is that guy does a great job, especially with the passing game. But he's got a great quarterback. I mean, I don't know if everybody in the state really knows about this kid, but he can throw the ball from hash to far sideline on comebacks, outs, whatever. There's no throw he can't make. He looks like he weighs about 250 pounds. So, if he does scramble a little bit or have to flee, he's hard to bring down. They've got 2 great receivers, number 21 and number 2. 21 is a college receiver. I don't know where he's going to play, but he's definitely a college receiver. 2's got unbelievable speed. But Coach Hockman does a great job with motions, with formations, spreading out wide. I mean, you may have a trips bunch on the sideline on the right side. On the left side, you may have twins out here that are almost touching the sideline. So he's going to expand that field. We're going to have to cover the whole field, which will be the first time we've had to do that this year. And we don't have to do that a whole lot. But we're going to have to cover the whole field, which is going to be kind of, different for us. So that presents a lot of challenges because we play kids both ways. So our skill guys are all, on defense, are our skill guys on offense. So they're going to be getting a lot more mileage during the game. So that's going to be a challenge, to keep kids fresh enough to play fast. But, I think the thing is we've got to have great communication from the sideline, because they're going to give you different formations, different motions. So we got to have great communication from the sidelines to the field, then from the field to each other, which would be nonverbal and verbal communication. So we got to do both of those well. That'll be a challenge for us. So I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm not looking forward to the game because it looks like it's going to be a win. I'm looking forward to the game because it's going to challenge us. We're going to find out where we're at right now. That's why we scheduled it. The coach does a great job over there. I mean, Effingham County, they scored the whole game. They scored a lot on Richmond Hill, and when they didn't, it's because they kind of shot themselves in the foot. So they have a great offense. So, you can look at what we've done on defense so far this year, and it really doesn't matter. We'll find out a lot more against New Hampstead where we are.
And real quick, Coach, that's Kyle Hockman. Of course, he's got a lot of experience at the higher level. He did a great job at McEachern.
Yeah, he did. He's a great coach. When I was in Alabama, we were going to play each other one year. We didn't end up playing, so I kind of got to know of him. And, he offensively now he's sharp. He's a sharp coach, and he's got a quarterback that can put it anywhere. So, I mean, it's going to be a challenge, but I think it's going to be a fun challenge, and I'm looking forward to it just because we'll start to find out where we are. How good are we or how good are we not? And what do we got to improve on? So it's going to be a fun game. You
sure he hadn't slipped his son in there as the quarterback, Kyle? His son was a 4-year starter at McEachern.
Well, the backup quarterback is a Hockman. I don't know if that's his son or nephew or something. So when this kid graduates, we'll get another Hockman next year. So that's going to be another headache.
Coach, real quickly, I want to ask you about the success you've had with this team. Just 2 state championships in 4 years. You brought them their first title in 2020. How have you been able to do it, Coach, and been able to have so much success?
Well, I'd like to tell you how I've been able to do it, but it really hadn't been anything about me. We give God the glory for everything, but what we've got here is great kids who aren't selfish, who don't mind playing the role. We've got a kid like our outside linebacker, Dixon Morris. He's a great-looking kid, 6'1", 205. He's a weight room madman. But, most of the time his job is to spill blocks. His job is to mess blocking schemes up. So he doesn't, a lot of times he doesn't make a lot of tackles, but what he's doing is doing for the good of the team and the defense. And that's why we've been able to thrive here is because we've got great kids who aren't about me, but they're about we.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you being on the show. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon. All right, real quickly, we got the game of the week this week on PSN. Buford will be at Douglas County, and we've got the head football coach, Johnny White, will be joining us. Najeh, Craig, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And everybody, get your umbrellas out because it's going to be a wet Friday night.
Unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning to open your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.